I have been warning on this show for more than a year of the imminent threat to the life and certainly the liberty of the rightful Prime Minister of Pakistan, Imran Khan. This week it came to pass. A gang of armed men kidnapped him entirely illegally from a courtroom where he was attending, as he was required to do, in order to get biometrically tested, like they didn't know who he really was. The armed men were called Rangers. They are a paramilitary force, but under the command of the Armed Forces of Pakistan. Indeed, the Armed Forces of Pakistan have long commanded everything in the state. The nexus between the ISI, the Intelligence Service of Pakistan, and the army, the top brass in Rawalpindi, is the only institution in Pakistan that matters. I should know I've been involved with Pakistani politics for more than 50 years. More than 50 years ago, I tried in vain to save the life of Zulfikar Ali Bhutto, the rightful leader of Pakistan, who was framed and then hanged by an earlier American satrap, General Zia-ul-Haq. I watched as my good friend Benazir Bhutto was repeatedly deposed, threatened, and eventually murdered on camera by the military brass of the Armed Forces of Pakistan. Don't try to tell me that anyone other than them were responsible for the murder of Benazir. Although I know and like Imran Khan and have known him and liked him, admired him for many years, I am not his party man. I'm not sure even that I would have voted for him in the last parliamentary elections. But I'd sure vote for him now, because I know a coup when I see one. And I know that Imran Khan was overthrown in a coup, not for any reason to do with internal or domestic Pakistani politics, but entirely because of his relationship with both Russia and China and his determination that Pakistan should be a genuinely independent player in the region, as befitting a nuclear power with hundreds of millions of citizens and scores of millions of citizens living overseas. A great country, a great civilization, one that was deserving of respect, respect which has never been forthcoming. And the successive leaders of Pakistan have been willing for, in return, keeping their own seats, their own power, which overwhelmingly they have corruptly used for their own enrichment, to supplicate to the United States and do its bidding, whether in relation to Afghanistan or other things. So I'm not an Imran Khan party man, but I am in favor of democracy, and I could show you my medals. I was awarded the highest civil award in Pakistan almost 40 years ago, the Hilal-e-Qaid-e-Azam, for my role in the restoration of democracy in that country after the demise of the aforementioned General Zia-ul-Haq. I also received the Halal-e-Pakistan, the second highest award in that country, for my work on the struggle for freedom for the people of Kashmir. I know a lot about Pakistan. And I know for sure that the only reason they have kidnapped Imran Khan is because elections, now overdue, imminent, would have swept him to power with a sufficient majority to finally set about transforming Pakistan in the ways that it needs to be transformed, breaking the back of military and intelligence power in that country, making a proper democracy of the place, as befits a great people. Now, asked about it in the House of Commons today, Rishi Sunak said that the kidnapping of the Prime Minister of Pakistan was an internal Pakistani matter on which he had nothing to say. But that's false, Mr. Sunak, on a number of different levels. First of all, if the kidnapping of Imran Khan is an internal Pakistani matter, why is the imprisonment of Mr. Navalny in Russia not an internal Russian matter? You are never done interfering in the internal affairs of other countries. Indeed, that's precisely the hallmark of Britain, which you currently, for the time being at least, lead. If the Uyghur question is not a Chinese internal affair, how come the destruction of democracy in a Commonwealth country with King Charles as the head of the Commonwealth not a matter on which you as the British Prime Minister can have a point of view? You, Mr. Sunak, are the Prime Minister of a country where the criminals conducting the armed kidnapping of the Prime Minister are actually living. If you like, I could take you to their sumptuous addresses in Mayfair. Our police officers on our taxes are guarding these people. The imported government that the American coup placed in power in Islamabad were all outside the country because they were all wanted for the crimes of corruption. The cabinet in Pakistan, which you say has the right to conduct its internal affairs itself, read like the front page of the Police Gazette. Every single one of them almost was wanted for high crimes and financial misdemeanors. And the conductor of the entire hellish orchestra is actually still right now living in London. So in what sense is this an internal affair for Pakistan? The king has a responsibility as the head of the Commonwealth to make clear his absolute rejection of the crushing underfoot in bloody shot and hail of the uprising currently happening in Pakistan, an unarmed, peaceful uprising in Pakistan, seeking to secure the release of their leader for whom they voted in overwhelming numbers and for whom, if given the chance, they would vote again in still greater and more overwhelming numbers. Why is that not a matter for you, Mr. Sunak? Party workers, senators, women, children are all being gunned down right now in Pakistan. This is another American regime change operation gone disastrously wrong. And not in the back of beyond, not in some banana republic in the jungles of South America, but a nuclear-armed superpower in the Asian region with a border with Iran, with Afghanistan, with India, a border with all the flashpoints in the world today. Hundreds of millions of people running wild on the streets of Pakistan with an armed force that is gunning them down with live ammunition right now as I am speaking to you. If that's not a matter for you, Rishi Sunak, for you, King Charles, what about the United Nations? What about the Security Council? Aren't you concerned that this will get entirely out of control? One regime change operation after another has turned into ash in the hands of the United States and the so-called international community. And how could it be otherwise? The decision to remove Imran Khan was made by doddering Joe Biden, who, if you saw the latest video of him, as I did an hour ago, wandering around looking for his exit from the stage, you'd think this man has been dug up from the cemetery, a broom put down the back of his jacket and made to look like he is alive. He was warning the world of grave consequences if America reneges on its indebtedness. Actually, the United States is fast losing the place on every single level. As Robert F. Kennedy Jr. has been adumbrating today with devastating effect. So devastating, I have begun seriously to be concerned as to his lifespan. Robert Kennedy denounced Biden today, denounced Biden's predecessors, denounced decades, a half century and more of criminal behavior on the part of United States agencies against their own people, never mind against the peoples of other countries. It's high time that leaders in Europe began to ask themselves, or their people began to ask their leaders, why are you following this organized crime operation, otherwise known as the United States of America? But just when you thought that he might get away with it, the first report of Comer in the US Congress has given chapter and verse about sordid, personally criminal behavior in which the Biden crime family was involved during Biden's period as the Vice President of the United States. He was making hay while the sun shone on his part of the White House. He never expected to have to run for office again. He thought he was in the twilight of his political career, and so all caution was thrown to the wind. Millions upon millions and millions and millions of dollars, at least $10 million, was illegally, corruptly siphoned from foreign countries and foreign companies, all of it entirely concealed from the White House authorities, from the US Congress, from the American public, into the bank accounts of 10 members of Joe Biden's family. Hunter Biden we all know about, but we didn't know about the nieces and nephews and grandsons and granddaughters, some of them small children with millions of dollars in their bank account. Is there anyone credulous enough to believe now who the big guy really was? The one referred to in Hunter Biden's laptop, 10% for the big guy? Anyone in any doubt who the big guy was? Who could it be other than the Vice President of the United States of America, Joe Biden? This criminal behavior knocks into a cocked hat anything we have ever seen on the American public stage before. And this is only the tip of the iceberg. This is only the money that was extorted as protection money from foreign countries and foreign companies by the Vice President. What about now that he is the President, the really big guy? How much did his family members extort from these countries and companies, including Chinese companies? An administration that is foaming at the mouth against China was in receipt of millions of dollars from Chinese commercial entities going into the bank accounts of his nieces and his grandsons during his tenure as Vice President. What about Romania? Now, I know Romania. I'm probably the only person you've ever met that has a book published in Romanian. Romania is a watchword for corruption. People normally corrupt Romanians. But the Comer report shows that Romania corrupted Joe Biden. How about that? Romania gave $1 million to Joe Biden. He didn't declare it. It was hidden, concealed. What was that for? What protection did Joe Biden offer Romania for that $1 million? What was the trade-off? And they want to claim that Donald Trump cleared of rape, not that you would know it from the headlines that you have read, is somehow a bigger criminal than Joe Biden. They're both criminals. America is ruled by criminals. You can pick one criminal or the other criminal, but there isn't any doubt who is the bigger criminal. And that is the leader of the so-called Democratic Party in the United States of America, and the man currently sitting with his finger on the trigger in the White House. It is a stunning turn of events that we'll discuss with Garland Nixon and Alex Rubinstein in the later part of the show. I've only time to refer en passant to the Victory Day celebrations yesterday in Moscow. I just want to make this point. President Putin performed really powerfully, didn't he? Considering he has brain cancer and liver cancer and kidney cancer and stomach cancer and lung cancer and prostate cancer, considering he's got a withered arm, considering he walks with a limp, considering he might even be dead and is being covered by body doubles, he looked amazing, sounded amazing in Red Square. Why do I dwell upon this point? Because you have been told, and many of you have believed, the war propaganda spewed out against Russia, against Putin, over this last 15 months or so in particular. It was all a lie. Putin is not going to be overthrown. He is not terminally ill. He doesn't have a withered arm or walk with a limp, and he doesn't have any body doubles. They were lying to you. And as Robert Kennedy Jr. said in his miraculous series of tweets today, look them up after the show. When the United States denied that it was conducting illicit overflights of the USSR with spy airplanes, they continued to deny it until the Soviet government produced a man called Gary Powers, whom they had shot down over their territory, flying exactly the U-2 technology that was spying on the Russians. The American people were shocked that their government had lied to them. It is well attested back in the day. The problem is, neither the Americans nor any of the rest of us are shocked any longer. As Tucker Carlson said to more people in a short broadcast on Twitter than will watch the entire output of US terrestrial and cable television this whole week or month, we're being lied to. It's an industry of mendacity. The liars and the lying lies that they tell us are the biggest story of this age. That's why you're here tonight, because you know this is the place where the truth tellers gather. Prepare for some blunt truths over the next 1 hour and 40 minutes or so. It's the mother of all talk shows.